Hello, my YouTube family. In front of me, I have two integrated power amps. One is the Oilily A300MK, A300B MK, I'm sorry. So this is the Oilily. It's the A300B MK. Next to it is the Willsenton R300B amplifier, integrated amplifier, vacuum tube, and they're both are single-ended vacuum tube integrated amps, and they both have identical power output, which is 8 watts each. 8 watts of power. All right. I had the Willsenton for over a year. This is the Willsenton I had for over a year. And I just bought the Oilily probably, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, on the advice of Steve Huff at Huff Wi-Fi, or High Five Huff, one or the other. I get them mixed up. And I played both amps. I made videos with both amps on YouTube with the album, the Dana Owens album, Queen Latifah. I played the same tracks on both integrated amps. And I said I would give my 2 cents later on. And this is my 2 cents. Once again, Steve Huff of Huff High Five, he picked the Oilily over the Willsenton. And I'm gonna lean towards the Willsenton R300B. Now, both integrated amps are beautiful sounding amps, beautiful looking amps, and they both can give you great SPLs with the right speaker. The speaker that I used was the Tecton Laura Signatures, which is an 8-ohm speaker with sensitivity of 98 dB, very easy to push. They both push the Tectons to, I'll say, very, very pleasant levels. They both seem to put out more power than the 8 watts that they're rated at. So I was satisfied with the output on both integrated amps. It played louder than the 8 watts. But I think the Willsenton had a more, in my opinion, more of a solid foundation, more meat and potatoes. I'll say it had a heavier, more dynamic 8 watts compared to the Oilily. I think the Oilily sounded a little softer, and the output, you would have guessed that the Willsenton could have been like a 20 or 25 watt amp instead of 8 watts. And I think I ran out of power quicker on the Oilily than I did the Willsenton. When I first put in the Oilily, I thought it sounded more natural, like natural voices. I was very deeply impressed by that with Shelby Lynn and Lady Gaga on the DVD with Tony Bennett. Sorry, that was my dryer turning off. But I think the Oilily sounded more natural. But I have to give the overall dynamics and impact on the same recordings to the Willsenton. I had a few things that I didn't like about the Oilily. First of all, the VU meters. From my listening seat, you cannot see the needle move at all because it's on a black background. And also the volume knob, you see I put a mark on it with a Sharpie because there's no light or indication where you're at on the volume knob from the sitting position. And I didn't like that part about it. I got it plugged in, so I'll turn it on. All right, this is your volume knob right here. I'll turn on the amp. Some features that I didn't cover when I first bought this amp. All right, so this is the Oilily turned on. This is the remote that comes with it. Very nice remote, well made. You got the mute button, selector button, your up and down volume. And I made a mistake. Let's try to get down here to the very nitty gritty. I made a mistake one time of pushing this button here. Thought it was the selector. As you see what the selector does, the selector right here will take you from line 1 line 2, line 3, back up to line 1, line 2, line 3. So that's on the remote, the selector part of it. All right, select the button once again. Line 1, line 2, line 3. Now this button I pushed one time thinking it was a selector button, but what it does, it mutes the amp. See, the light changed over here. Now the amp is muted. And you're going to unmute it. Alright, because I couldn't get sound out of the amp on one occasion. I racked my brain why the amp not making no noise. Why isn't it playing? It's because I hit this button thinking I was changing the selector switch, the selectors, but I didn't. This switch, this only puts it in mute mode. So you need the remote control to change from line 1, line 2, and line 3. And line 3 is a pre-out. Now line 3 is the pre-in, where it turns the integrated amp into a power amp. Alright. And like I said, the VU meters from your sitting position, they're useless. I hate to say that because you cannot see it because of the black background. And couple that with the volume knob not having a light on it at all, you can't really see what you're doing from your sitting position. Other than that, it's a gorgeous amp. Now in the manual, I was reading the manual about the tubes. Let me get into that real quick. According to the manual, the input tube, which is this little one right here, that's a 6N11. That's the input tube. Your driver tubes, which is the one per channel, that's 2 6N6s. 6N6s. They're your driver tubes. They're going to drive your 300Bs, your output tubes. Your rectifier tube, it says, has 2 5AR4s. I only see one 5AR4. Unless there's another one somewhere inside. I don't believe it is. So you have input tube 6N 11, 2 6N 6 input tubes, rectifier tube 5 AR4, 300B output tubes. And if you compare these tubes to the Willsenton, the Willsenton input tube is a 6SL7. This is a lot bigger tube. The driver tubes are 6SN7s. These are two I just bought, the Oilily driver tubes. And the output tubes, once again, 300Bs. Rectifier tubes are two back in the back. These are 274Bs. Now these are not the tubes that came with the Willsenton. Now since upgraded tubes, does that play a part in me leaning towards the Willsenton because of the better tubes? I really can't say. All right, so you have the 6SN7 driver tubes. You have the 6SL7 input tube, 300B output tubes, 274Bs rectification tubes. And there are two rectification tubes on the Willsenton compared to the one on the Oilily. And this amp came with the same ones Willsenton has, the 5 AR4s. This is the 5 AR4, but I since upgraded to the 274Bs. The Willsenton, you have to bias yourself. These are your little bias ports here. Put a little screwdriver in there and turn that. You click this up for your meter to work. I'll show you that when I plug it in. The Oilily has no bias ports. They have hum balancers, which are right back here on both sides. But the amp is dead quiet. I never touched the hum balancers. I didn't have to. It's a dead quiet amp, beautiful sounding amp. I said my only gripes was the VU meters. From a distance, they're useless. And there's no indicator light on your volume knob, so sitting at your seat, you're not sure where your volume is at. And you're not sure what your meters are doing. You know, it's best not even to have meters, as you can't really use them. All right, so once again, I give my my pick to the Willsenton as the winner from these out of these two amps, integrated amps. Now I only used the one pair of speakers. One of my subscribers said I should have changed speakers out and tested them on both speakers, which I didn't do. But what I will do, when I do bring the Clips 424s back into service, I'll do the comparison once again with these two amps on the Clips 424s. All right, so what I'm doing now, I just took the Willsenton out of the setup, and I had the 300B. I had the Oilily rather. I was using that as a headphone amp. Now, once you plug your headphones into the Oilily, it kills the speaker output. So everything that you would get from the speaker output from this going to a speaker is now coming in, now routed towards your headphones. I don't have a high quality pair of headphones yet. This is probably the best pair that I have. It's the KLH. They're not really hi-fi, but I think I paid $300 on them, so they're hi-fi enough. I'm not really big on headphones, but I'd probably upgrade to a pair of vocals or a Macintosh, since I'm now using the Oilily as a headphone amp. And I know I played Michael Jackson's what was that? Human Nature song. Michael Jackson with this Oilily and the headphones. And it's my first time playing that song. And if you look beyond the music into the background of that music, you can hear chimes in the background. It's my first time hearing chimes in that song. So a nice headphone amp, a nice pair of headphones, you can dive real deep into the music. I said, what is this I'm hearing in the background of this song? It was chimes in the back of Michael Jackson's Human Nature. The first time ever hearing that. Yeah. But that's the Oilily. Now on to the Willsenton. You have, let me plug it in. I'm not sure if this is the same way as the Oilily. Once you plug in your headphones, does it kill the output? So I'm gonna, just in case it is that way, I'll plug in the headphone amp because I don't want to damage the amp. All right, so I'm gonna plug in the power switch on the Willsenton. The on-off switch is right here on the side, so it's not on the front knob. It's on the side. So that is off. I'm going to pull the power cord. The power cord is a audio ND. It's not going to reach. So I'm going to Alright, so I'm going to turn on and this is the remote for the Willsenton. They both come with nice remotes. The Willsenton remote is volume, up or down, and mute. There's no selector on this because you have to do it manually. I guess this thing is so heavy and you couldn't use the remote with it. Alright, so I'm going to hit the switch on the side. I'm going to turn on the Willsenton. And the inputs here. Let's get down as low as I can. I got a little handheld tripod that came with my webcam. You have your CD input, aux 1, aux 2, and pre-in. Using the pre-in, this is now going to be a dedicated power amp. And as you can see, the Willsenton has 3 inputs compared to the Oilily 2 inputs. And it has a little meter here. Can I get that low? If you want to bias it, hit bias and it will tell you where the tubes are located at. If you can see that, that's pretty much, you can't see that. But when you hit the switch here to bias this tube, let me try to, as you can see, watch the meter move. If you can see that. All right. Same thing for this side to bias this tube. Push this up, and the meter in the center should go to mechanical 0. In my sound comparison, the Willsenton seemed like it had much more power. They both were very clear sounding amps, very quiet amps. But the Willsenton gave you more authority on the music. I think it really controlled the bass. Now that Oilily had tight bass, but I think I give the edge to the Willsenton overall. both amps did everything nicely, but the Willsenton in my book just did it more of it. All right, let's try to get this back in the picture. So I know when I take the Willsenton out of the system at times to play, use other power amps, it seems like I can't wait to get that Willsenton back in setup. Because I love the way the amp sounds. I love the way it controls the music with 8 little watts of power. I think I could miss the Willsenton being in my system, even after using the Macintoshes, the Past Labs, the Mark Levinson, the Conrad Johnsons. I still would miss that Willsenton in the system. That's why I keep bringing it back and forth. I love this amp. And I like the Oilily, but I could live without the Oilily in the system, but I could not live without the Willsenton in the system. It's got to keep coming back. Now I did find a nice place for the Oilily. That's my new headphone amp from my laptop. And like I said, that Michael Jackson's Human Nature, for me to be able to hear that them chimes beyond the rest of the music, you delve deep into the music, and I heard the chimes in the background. I never heard that before. But as you can see with the Willsenton, you have a little light here. I wish the Oilily would have had that, so you can tell where your volume is at when you're sitting in a dimly lit room. So that's one knock that I had on the Oilily. I couldn't tell where I was at volume-wise. And normally I can play the Willsenton, say, like at 10 o'clock. I very seldom go to 12 o'clock on the Willsenton. Between 10 and 11 is enough power. But on the Oilily, I remember having this amp, the volume one time like at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, to get the same kind of impact that I would get out of the Willsenton at 10 and 11 o'clock. So the Willsenton 8 watts is a little more powerful than the 8 watts on the Oilily. And both sound great. I love them both. The way they presented the music to the room. But I think that Willsenton just had more of it. Same price. I think I paid $12.99 for both. Probably say $1,300 for both amps. So you're getting the 8 watts. The price is the same price, but if I had to pick one over the other, I'm definitely going to go with the Willsenton. Now, is it because compare the input tubes and driver tubes from this amp to this amp? It's like night and day. These little small input tubes and small driver tubes, does that make a difference? I don't know. That's my question to you all. Does the size of the tubes make a difference? The tubes, input tubes, and driver tubes are a lot bigger than the input tubes and driver tubes on the Oilily. Does that play a part in the impact of the music? I really don't know. That's for you guys out there to figure out. Hey, the VU meters are nice. When I'm using this as a tube amp, it's right in front of my face, right beside my face, rather. I turn my head, and that's where the VU meters come into play as a headphone amp, which is right beside me. Everything is great, but from a distance, I guess I'm probably 9 or 10 feet from my equipment rack, and the VU meters at that distance are pretty much useless. I love VU meters. I'm a Macintosh fan, so I gotta love VU meters. But these really serve no purpose from that distance. All right. So these are the 2 amps. They both are drop dead gorgeous, the same silver and blue. All right, let's take a look at the back. I love this little tripod. The Oilily has 1 input, 2 inputs pre-in. The Willsenton has CD, input 1, input 2, and pre. So you get 3 inputs with the Willsenton, whereas you get 2 with the Oilily. Both are nice amps. And also, as you can see, is their size difference. The Willsenton is a full size. Component. Let's see, scar them up here. Now that's the size difference. One is full size, one is not full size. All right. So this Oilily is great for a headphone amp. It's not a full size amp, but the Oilily is a great sounding amp. But you get more impact, more output, in my opinion, with the Willsenton R300B. It's like I was lacking the power. Now they're both only 8 watts, but the Willsenton sounded a lot more beefier and heavier on the music. Give you more dynamics. Both sounded great. Great sound stage. Great imaging. But the Willsenton just did a little bit more, in my opinion, than the Oilily. Like I said, would I sell the Oilily if someone wanted to buy it? Yes, I would. Would I sell the Willsenton R300B if somebody wanted to buy it? No, I wouldn't. So that sums up for me which one would I want to part with if I did. I could very easily part with the Oilily, but I would not part with the R300 Willsenton. But I did find a home for the Oilily. That's my headphone amp from my HP laptop. Alright, so I will keep that as a headphone amp for the time being. I will probably bring it back into the system when I bring the Klipsch Forte 4s back. See how I handle the Klipsch Forte 4s. But it shouldn't be much of a difference because both speakers, the Tech Times and the Klipsch Forte 4s, are both 8 ohms with the same sensitivity, 98 dB. But I will try that setup when I bring the Klipsch back. Alright, so I pulled the Willsenton out of this system to do this video. And let me walk into the music room and I'll show you guys what's coming down the pipe. I'm gonna walk into the music room. There's another box here that arrived today from the music room. So I'm going to do this video next, after this video, to see what's in this box that's going to set here on this amp stand. Alright, so this is my music room. I just pulled a Willsenton from this spot. And what's in the box here is when I go in that spot. Alright. So this is my headphone setup, HP laptop. The Oilily sets right up here. So now I have two laptops in this room and a desktop. This laptop goes with the Oilily and the Peachtree Audio Grand Prix preamp. This is my MacBook Pro, which goes to the system. This is my desktop, which I surf the net with. This is the only one that I surf the net with, is the desktop. All right, back to the task at hand. Yes, I would recommend both of these amps, but my favorite of the two, just my opinion, what I prefer the Willsenton R300B or the Oilily A300B MK. Now there is a Willsenton out there, R300B Plus. I'm not sure what's the difference between this one and the Plus. I really don't know. Now once again, the edge goes to the Willsenton because I upgraded the tubes. All the tubes are upgraded. Now I guess if I upgrade the tubes on the Oilily, would that make a difference? I'm sure it would if you got the higher quality tubes. But this amp sounds good the way it is, but it just don't have the power that I desire to control my system. But it's a beautiful sounding amp. It's dead quiet. It presents the music in a very pleasant way. Very natural sounding amp. But it didn't have the balls. It didn't have the balls or the impact, in my opinion, that the Willsenton had. So I would pick the Willsenton R300B over the Oilily A300B MK. That's just my 2 cents. You know, everybody hears things differently. Everybody don't have the same taste. But my taste is for the Willsenton R300B. That's my pick of these two integrated amps. Compare it side by side. All right, I'm ready to unbox that box in the music room and set that up. I'll walk through that with you guys. All right, this is Sarge. Next Match Stereo. All right, thank you guys for subscribing. I thank you guys once again for helping me reach 1,000 subscribers. I appreciate you all very much. Stay tuned. There's a lot more to come. Number 5.